Hi, me hearties. I see you decided to come by and join the dark side. Or the dork side. My Digital Life, DigitalRiver, Windows 7, Service Pack 1 minimum, all drivers, updates, patches, 64-bit and 32-bit, and other, all-in-one AIO. Use that spelling, please avoid any other combinations of those letters in the wrong order. Don't ask why, we don't discuss it. The greatest increase in people using Windows 7 in a ridiculous amount of time has been because Microsoft Corporation decided to push things by killing off Windows 10 this week. And it caused an uptick from the first announcement of people installing Windows 7 because 11 is crap. Archive.org is your friend. Download Windows 7 Ultimate all-in-one random version from 2021 Service Pack 1 AIO updated x64 and 32 versions. It's otherwise known as x86. So what is this all about? Pretty simple. Windows, the files for Windows, every version of Windows, came with the ability to run a script that would make it into, let's say, the starter edition or the 32-bit version or the 64-bit version. The major differences was whether or not it included the 64-bit version with the 32 or vice versa. But at one time, something interesting happened, and every version of Windows that's ever been put out can technically be told to behave like another one, putting it into a different sales channel or whatever. And the main reason for this is these are little tricks that were left behind for geeks, by geeks, of geeks, so that we could install them to test to see if they work. Almost every operating system has to, without fail, has to have a test mode where you can run it in what appears to be the full-blown version, but on the next reboot it'll turn off a bunch of stuff, and this is for buttoning it up for the end-user experience by a technician. Every one of these things had to be built about the same way. There's no reason to make them different when you can just put it all on one disk. And it could be an old CD-ROM that was 640 megabytes or 670 or whatever, all the way up to these 5 gigabyte or 6 gigabyte or even higher single, dual, or whatever DVDs. And thumb drives make the file size limit irrelevant. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is you wouldn't be looking at this video if you weren't noticing, yeah, there's a trend towards installing older operating systems. I want to point out that Windows XP is also being installed a lot more often lately too, because people will install XP to get the thing running poorly, go ahead and get drivers to make it work to where everything at least works kinda, then load 7 on it because you can dual boot them without them fighting with each other, which you can't do with newer versions. As long as you do Windows 7 Ultimate or Professional, it turns off the attack code so it doesn't break the damn thing. And then within the compatibility layer with Windows 7 and Windows XP, virtually every piece of software can be run. Now let me repeat that. Most of the time you just need Windows 7, but if you install both, you can get away with that extra gigabyte of Windows XP code. Makes it to where every piece of software ever written that you can get your grubby hands on may work fine. The entire point of this, if you're not aware of it, was to make it to where the operating system is supposed to be there so you can run other people's programs. It's not supposed to be some paramount, ultra important thing. It doesn't matter. The operating system shouldn't be able to matter. But now Microsoft Corporation has decided to make it to where if you write software to work with Windows 11, you can't let it work with Windows 10 or lower, which everybody wants to do, right? So on top of that, you have a competing market of people putting in virtual machines specifically to fix this problem they're creating and not using their virtual machine. People loading up software on their cell phones that allow them to load older software. And the reason we do this is some of that older software is still owned, perish the thought, by the person who originally wrote it decades ago. You can run SimCity 2000 or something like that apparently still. You can just download them. And because we have so much bandwidth and space lately, why wouldn't you? And then someone has to sound like a Microsoft fanboy or whatever. And the other thing we're all running into is the internet is now filled with things we can't own. The only way I can play Rust, the video game, is to run Rust Legacy. Not because the software won't work. It will work on this. But the distribution platform, Steam, won't let me. So what did I do? It even blocked me being able to use it just long enough to download Rust Legacy. So what did I do? I download bad files off of those dirty websites, file manager, blah, 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 or Dropbox, yada, yada, and I get programs that way. And you know what? I virus scan them and they work, and that's actually how the world used to work a long time ago. Now we're dealing with a situation where the operating system itself is becoming a closed ecosystem with a stranglehold, and it actively fights you trying to have any privacy. As of right now, because Windows 7 stopped really being used a long time ago, it has been picked apart and made almost impossible for someone to get into you through Microsoft Corporation. You can still get a virus or malware or whatever. You'd have to update and patch it and then live with the patches that are years and years old. However, it's so well understood that now virus scanners, if you load them on them, if they didn't drink the Kool-Aid from Microsoft Corporation and make it to where you can't get them, most virus scanners will work insanely well on Windows 7 because 7 only has a couple of known attack vectors left over that even kind of work. Meanwhile, your cell phone actively spies on you, no matter where you are, because somebody ran a Stingray device upstream and installed malware on your cell phone. You're more vulnerable on modern equipment than you are on modern equipment with an older op system. And for the umpteenth time, Microsoft Corporation's like, you have to use the trusted computer platform, the newspeak word for it's a closed ecosystem and we have root access to your computer 24/7. You have to do this. We won't let you load our operating system otherwise. And now we're going to get rid of your last bastion of hope, Windows 10. So anyway, links below in the description to MyDigitalLife.net for some old links that don't work, and then archive.org that shows you that they're still there. Specifically one of them that's webarchive.org, and it just says, hey, here's the downloads for DigitalRiver. And when you go there, all of the ISOs are still sitting there. DigitalRiver was the distribution platform where you bought a key, which is a bunch of numbers, and you downloaded the ISO for free. Microsoft Corporation did that because that reduced the amount of piracy to almost nothing. They sold the keys for like $5 or $20, depending on the operating system. They made a shit ton of money. They didn't have any development costs. They just had to maintain a website. And more importantly, people would keep buying new keys, and nobody wanted to break any rules. And the best part about it is they're completely free of viruses. And they still haven't killed them off on archive.org. And it's a tacit understanding that when you download these files, you're going to install it with a proper code. There's a way of getting around that, but the thing is, on Windows 7, you can run it without putting in the key for weeks or even years if you want to, as a test mode. It turns off a bunch of stuff you might need, but it isn't permanent. So anyway, if you came here looking for that, as for installation instructions, there's about a decade's worth of install instructions on how to do anything you want to. I don't need to add to it. If you're on the internet, you already have access to all this knowledge. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And I'd like to congratulate Microsoft Corporation on doing the best Windows 7 install campaign in history by shooting down Windows 10 and trying to force people to load Windows 11 that no one wanted. Tee-hee.